Thank you for coming here today, everyone. And as we spend this next hour or so together and get to know each other, and building our allyship is very important to us. Sometimes we kind of feel a little deserted over there on Shinnecock, and with everything going on, whether it's political or whatever, we still have a job to do. We still have one planet, one Earth, and we have to figure out how we are going to live properly on this beautiful Mother Earth for the time that we have been given here. And we're going to figure this out. And everyone is important as can be. Each voice is important. Each position is important. Every single thing we do makes a difference. Our energies are important. So, and we always start everything, usually Native people, we start everything with a ceremony or a song. So I'm going to ask my sister Holly to sing a song with me that it honors the ocean. Mainly the ocean, of course, all waters, but mainly this song honors the ocean, and because without this ocean, we would be nothing. Look how much water there is on this planet, and then there's land, but there's so much ocean and waters and everything. And, as indigenous people, I know we don't look that old, but we represent 12,000 years, at least.
Working on 13.
Yeah. There was a piece of pottery found in the Shinnecock Hills years and years ago that carbon dated to like 12,000 years ago. So this is our home. This is our ancestral territory. We love this place, and we know what has happened in the last 380 years is not that great, and it's called progress, and society just takes over everything. But still, as the indigenous knowledge is still there, it's not going anywhere. And we're here to share just a tiny bit of it, because what do we know? We only know what we know, but we share what we know. And we're just hoping and praying that folks just get on board. And like the gentleman just said about like-mindedness, that's what we're here for today, to set aside any differences for right now and to go forward in oneness. So this song is the Big Water song. Nuta awe pu kishke kita hanet nuketu oma. Nuta awe pu kishke kita hanet nuketu oma. Nuta awe pu kishke kita hanet nuketu oma. My heart is calm. Big waters sing, pray my morning song. My heart is calm. Big waters sing, pray my morning song. Abutne. Thank you so much. And before we get started with our presentation, I just want to remind everybody, I just love to share this. When we say to take care of 7 generations, we truly, honestly mean it. And that's what we were taught, and that's what we teach, and that's what we have learned. And 7 generations, I'll tell you that my great-grandfather passed away when I was 8 years old. And he was a Montauk Indian. And when I was 8, he died. But that's my pop. And then my grandfather and grandmother, my mother, me, my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, who I left home tearing up the living room. And 7 generations. So we mean it when we say we have to take care of the 7 generations. And that's what I'll pass on to them, and that's what we have learned to do. So we're going to start this presentation, and thank you, Dan.
All right.
Taking time to think about the future and a way to make it right. Do everything you can to make a better way, and you'll see brighter days inside. I've shared my thoughts with many people, really seem to care about living good and loving life and breathing clean, fresh air. Taking time to think about the future and a way to make it right. Do everything you can to make a better way, and you'll see brighter days inside. The things that are so precious are basic needs to survive, are threatened each day with poisons, a threat that will ruin our lives. Taking time to think about the future and a way to make it right. Do everything you can to make a better way, and you'll see brighter days inside. Taking time to think about the future and a way to make it right. Do everything you can to make a better way, and you'll see brighter days inside. Taking time to think about the future and a way to make it right. Do everything you can to make a better way, and you'll see brighter days inside. And you'll see brighter days inside.
Great.
Beautiful. Thank you. That song was written about 40 years ago, and so we decided to record it about 20 years ago. So we decided to put it together with our pictures so that everybody could get familiar and see how it is to be out in that water with these gals. And
All right. So my name is Danielle Begun. I am a Shinnecock Kelp Farmer. I live on territory. And we're here to share the work that we're doing to clean our waters and preserve this place and beyond for the next 7 generations from now. And we're hoping that each one of you will be inspired to find your way to make a difference in this fight. So we'll start here. And I'm going to stand because I know I can barely see you when I'm sitting. All right. So this is our team. So left to right in that picture, we have Darlene Troge. She's our finance and administration person. Next to her is Donna Collins-Smith. Donna has a background, business background, and she does all of our hatchery management and has become quite a plumber. In the center is Tila Troge. She's a tribal attorney. and our director, as well as involved in many other causes like the Nyamuck Land Trust. Next to Tila, here's truly. I am, in my background, I am a social worker, but a kelp farmer by tide. And then we have our Becky, who is, as was mentioned earlier, a lifelong activist. So we all know this bad news, right? We can see this is coming out of Stony Brook, and we're all familiar with what's happening in and around our shores, and in particular, and we can't really see it very well.
Can you turn the light back off again?
So this basically allows us to see what is happening. For example, in the Peconic, we had a 99% die-off of the scallop population, which, and then we hear more and more information about it, and it's looking more and more grim. Because due to, in particular, a particular bacteria. So here's the good news. The good news is that we do primarily most of our work in Shinnecock Bay. And this year when we were out planting, we found tons of scallops. And we don't talk about it much, especially when we were originally starting in November, December, because we didn't want people to come and take them, you know, for their food. And we want to really give them a chance to really get settled in and to do their good work. So we're not giving up. Some of the scientists are thinking that that they've seen their last scallops are on their way out, but we're not giving up. Would you like to talk about that part of it?
So, SOS, a call to action, traditional knowledge and climate science. What is the impact that seaweed has had on our tribal community for generations? How kelp is a healing resource for our waters today? How do traditional teachings combine with climate science to save our seas? Well, the basic thing is you got to get up and do something. That's the first thing you have to do, is get serious and get with whomever team you have to get with to do more research and be proactive in getting this word out that what's happening, the lifestyle that we're living is not really good for the planet. So with our tribal, again, with our indigenous knowledge, our tribal resource, we combine it with science and education, and everybody's going to college for this, that. My brother's a marine biologist, and he knows everything about the water. He's amazing, and he helps us. He's a consultant here and there. But when we were growing up, to see this scallop die off, and he brought him and some other tribal members, went out to the Lummi School of Aquaculture 45 years ago, and we opened the oyster hatchery, and it was okay for a while. Then tribal politics kind of got in the way, and it's not doing well at all. But, years go by and things happen and everything. But for his traditional knowledge, that's what he has. No one can take that away. No politics, no anything to take that away. And this is whose brains we have to pick for all of this traditional knowledge. I am a goofball compared to my brother. I can outclam him with my bare feet and my eyes closed, but he has the knowledge. And there are so many in our community and in our native families who have this knowledge. No matter where you go, if we go to the sister tribes up and down the coast, there are people in Passamaquoddy, Penobscot, Narragansett, Pequot, Machin, wherever there are people who hold these traditional teachings and this knowledge. And it's our responsibility to connect with each other, reach out to each other, and bring it all back so we can continuously share it. This is very serious. So in order to save our seas, we have to talk, communicate, do what we're doing today. Reach out and do it.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about our traditional uses. So when you all go to the beach or to the shore and you see seaweed, often it's a nuisance. It's touching you in the water. A lot of people are not comfortable with it. They're not thinking of the uses for it. And we're hoping that you're starting to hear about that there are tons of new uses for seaweed. But we've been using seaweed as a friend for the last 10,000 years. We may not have been able to have said, oh, it has this particular enzyme or it has this vitamin in it. We couldn't name the vitamin in English, but we knew it was good for us. We knew we could eat it. We knew what we could do with it. We have used it for cooking. We use it for kind of like you can put it around your house to keep out the pests, as well as for health, as well beauty aids, especially now you can find kelp in all sorts of shampoos and moisturizers. So kelp has always been our friend and will remain a friend. And that is an important message now that people are starting to really pay attention to seaweed. We don't want a gold rush or a green rush. We go out and try to communicate to as many individuals in the space to use seaweed reciprocally. Don't take more than you need. Stop raping the earth. And we don't want to go that way either. There's always, that pendulum of, oh, something new, and then it just goes too far. That is not our goal. Our goal is to use seaweed in a friendly, environmentally conscious way, like we have forever. This is my favorite one. So it's really delicious. We do not offer our seaweed for food yet because we are still looking for a partner to do some testing because we obviously will not be wanting to share it without knowing exactly what is in it. So eventually we'll get there. But for now, we go straight to a soil amendment. And we have used seaweed as a soil amendment with our corn, bean, and squash. You would also dig a hole right next to it, drop in some bits of fish and some seaweed, and you'd have amazing biostimulant. And our kelp gets love letters from people who use it on their gardens and in their plants, saying, oh, my plant is smiling at me. So I had mentioned about the cures, and I was thinking about it the other day, about how my own relationship with seaweed. And I was at the beach with my Aunt Jane and my little brother. And my little brother liked to throw rocks. And he always chose the biggest one. He didn't throw pebbles, he chose heavy rocks. And he was a little guy, maybe 5 years old. And he threw a rock, and he was not a good, accurate thrower. He was trying to throw it into the water. But instead, he hit me in the head with this rock. I was stoned by my brother. And my Aunt Jane picked up some seaweed and kind of put it to my forehead. And what it did, now I'm thinking back, is that it held the cold. So there are a lot of cures. And we have experiences, everyone has these experiences, and we've been sharing them, and they're considered like this folklore or You know, what can you believe, what can't you believe? There's a book that has Anthony Beeman wrote about this from 100 years ago, that seaweed is a cure for rheumatism. Right? Oh, it's folklore. Well, surprise. We have the scientific research now that yes, it is a cure for rheumatism and other chronic autoimmune diseases as well. You'll have to do your own research. I'm not going to propose it for you, but there are benefits to it for each person. Do you want to add anything about the uses?
I don't know what, you know, with Make America Healthy Again campaigns going on and everything, and how unhealthy we are these days, we have to really, again, take this seriously. I even want to take a challenge myself, because whatever I have going on with me, I got from my mother. So it's hereditary, whatever. Nobody seems to know what the heck is going on. But I have a feeling in my heart and soul that seaweed probably will save my life. Instead of keeping going downhill like I am, I need to get serious, put my money where my mouth is, and get on some kind of regime with seaweed. It is a miracle worker. We've seen it on the outside, on the inside. Again, we have to have it tested, because I don't want to poison myself, because the bays are so polluted. And why? Because of septic systems, boats, you know, mankind, man-unkind, and all of the craziness that's going on. So, you know, and I think there was another Switzerland or something, that they take seaweed baths, and it does cure arthritis, and there's a whole ton of research being done right now. And like Dan said, we're not in it for the green rush or the gold green rush or whatever they're calling it. We want to help take this pollutants out of the water and do our best, and hopefully show other folks that it's not hard to do. You can start a seaweed farm yourself. You can start a sugar kelp farm yourself. All you have to do is have, you know, the desire to do it, and you can do it. And when we started, we really didn't want to get involved with too much craziness of politics and the tribe and everything. So again, our allies, we came together with the Sisters of St. Joseph, and that's where our first seaweed farm is, over there in the villa at the Sisters, which is right on the bay, on our ancestral territory in Hampton Bays. And it's been a wonderful partnership, and we're growing and growing this way. It's not something that we started and it stopped or whatever we talked about. No, we hit the ground running, and it's grown leaps and bounds. The sisters have partnered with us in such a way as when we need something, they go above and beyond for us. And we have this beautiful relationship with the sisters, and even with all the, you know, the history of Catholic boarding schools and everything, we are about healing. We know there's historical trauma, and we know there's things of the past that there's no way in the world we can ever go back and correct it. It has happened. But now we're in a point of our lives and our time where we have got to heal. And to me, the universe is looking out for us when they put indigenous people and the sisters together to do this work in the water, to take these pollutants out. And some people, you know, some of the commercial fishermen, oh, it doesn't really do any good. Yes, it does. What doesn't do any good is you saying that it doesn't do any good and you're not doing anything about it. So we can go back and forth with the fishermen if they want to, but we're going to win because we're doing the right thing, and we're telling everybody else, you can do it too. So the sisters, we always, you know, say thank you for the beautiful partnership that we have going. It's growing by the day. And if anybody wants to say, you know, to look them up or whatever, go to the villa, talk to Sister Carrie, she's here today, and take a tour of the shellfish hatchery. We're there. We just want everyone to know that how beautiful it can be when you find allies and you work together for a common goal.
Well said. So we are a 501c3, and we are a rogue group of 5 women. Our nation has an environmental department. They do a lot of great work. We saw space for more to get done. And we find that, as Becky had mentioned about the tribal politics, being this small group, we are able to pivot. And we're able to get started very, very quickly. This is our 4th year growing sugar kelp, having a hatchery, as well as growing sugar kelp in Shinnecock Bay and a few other sites that we have tests at. So let's talk a little bit about our process. We start out in the hatchery on the grounds at the Sisters of St. Joseph in a room, and we rebuild this hatchery every year. Come on in. No worries. There's spots. Plenty of spots. So we start out, the hatchery room is called Cottage C, and during the year that we're not there, we usually get in there just after Labor Day. But before that, it is a spot for the sisters, a retreat area for the sisters, and we move their furniture out and we move all of our equipment in. We have lines of aquarium and chillers and water tanks. We end up with about 5,000 gallons of water moving every day. So this picture is dear to my heart because this is just before our kelp gets outplanted into the water. But it starts out basically, we start the season with these, which are basically PVC pipes, 4-inch PVC pipes, and we string this thread around it, and we send out divers around Montauk Point, anywhere that there would be live natural kelp. And they go look for kelp fronds that are fertile. And you can tell because they have a dark streak down the middle. They collect them and they bring them back. We share those divers with numerous other, we share them with Cornell, Stony Brook, another one of our most important partners, which is Green Wave out of Connecticut. So once we dive and we find it, we all share this material. We bring it back into our hatchery and we release it into our aquaria. Onto these. So these are strung with a special machine now. We started out stringing these with an electric screwdriver and a paint roller adapted for it to spin, and it took 3 of us. And one of us was an attorney, spending her time spinning these, and it would take maybe 30 minutes for each one. Well, I was at a talk like this at a retreat for the TMLA, which is an all-girls school in Queens. Their alumni association was there for the talk. And I was complaining that it was taking so long, and we were trying to develop a new way to do it, a faster way to do it, a more efficient way to do it. And all of the women in there were saying, oh, go talk to Kathy. Talk to Kathy in the back. She's in the back. Just talk to her. So I talked to this woman, Kathy, and she had a robotics team, an all-girls robotics team. And she's an engineer herself and inspiring in her own right. And she joined me in the hatchery that weekend, and we talked about how far we'd come in our little prototypes and trying to figure out, how to do this. And she went back to her team, and they helped us develop a spinning tool that is, what is it called when you create something out of plastic.
Prototype.
Not the
No.
prototype, the, what is that called? My mind went blank. Yes, the 3D printing. They use 3D printing to create adapters for different sizes of these. So I could create one for a 2-inch spool or a 4-inch spool. We used basically a sewing machine motor. And I can do this one person, myself, in 20 minutes. So each one has about 400 feet of string and that will eventually be outplantable. So this is what they look like once the seed is on there. We have another program called Kind Words. So the seeds are microscopic at first. You can't see them. All you can really do is pray. And the first things that we were thinking were, what can we do? All the water is the right temperature, the food is right, the light is right. Is there anything else that we can do to give them the best start? And we were talking to them just like you would any other kind of thing that you're growing or caring for. Oh, how are you guys? I hope you're holding on. And we decided to formalize it a bit. We had found a couple of studies that revealed that talking to your plants, they do better, they're stronger, and if you speak kind words, they do even better. We found that also the tone of women's voices lifted up, they do even better. So we started to do that more formally. We invited, again, we were coming out of COVID, and invited some of the sisters from the Mother House, which is in Brentwood, to join us over Zoom. And the first one was just fantastic, and they were able to, they had heard about our project. Of course, they were our partners, and they'd heard about it, but they were actually able to participate. And that program continues to grow every year, and we have expanded it beyond the sisters to the community at large. So if you follow us, you can always sign up yourself, and that's always in the fall. So we're really proud of that program as well. That's called Kind Words. We start to approximately, and I always say approximate because it's farming, so you can just do your best guess. 6 to 8 weeks later, after you have these little seeds growing, they become that. The work really, the physical work is now about to begin. We go out into the bay and we outplant our farm basically, which are these anchors. This is a little one. There are ones that are about 4 feet, and each one is about 5 pounds. We transport approximately 90 to 100 of these out into the bay on foot. We are foot farmers. We don't use boats. We do use some small kind of skiff things to help us move stuff out. We outplant these and we twist them into the bay bottom, and then we put in marine rope between each one. So each one gets 2. And again, these are 400. So this would cover 400 feet. Here's our outplanting. So what we do is we split the marine rope and kind of unfurl this line upon the marine rope. It's very hard work. We only go at low tide, so that we have maybe 3 or 4 days per moon cycle to be able to do it. Things get in the way. Staffing gets in the way, weather gets in the way, really, especially weather. And sometimes the tides, especially the last few weeks, have not been predictable. They've been very high or very low. So even though the chart says it's a good low tide, sometimes they're not. So here they go. Now we're moving. This is about 4 weeks out in the bay. We check them. We do have a nemesis, and that is a substance, an algae called slipgut. And what it does is it looks in the water, it's it looks like dog hair in the water, like a tree that's made out of dog hair. But when you lift it out of the water, it's more of a mucus. And what that does, you saw what the kelp looked like, the little tiny 1 to 5 millimeter leaves, it coats them and suffocates them. So we go out, we check, we shake them off as best we can. We've lost some of our kelp to slipgut, especially the later in the season that we go to outplant. So we do have an idea of when it starts to show up. But this year we've done very well in getting our kelp out early and beating it so that we outcompete. Throughout the season, we collect data for one of our primary partners that we share with one of our primary partners, Greenwave, and we collect mass data, length, whether the color of it. They don't ask, but we convey the taste, the consistency. So they are able to aggregate our information with kelp farmers across North America to find out how much carbon and nitrogen we are sequestering. There we are. So from 1 millimeter to almost 5.5 feet long. That's Donna, and you can tell that she's elated, as she should be, and this is at about 20 weeks. You can tell that this kelp was in Moriches Bay, and in Moriches, the kelp is a different color. In Shinnecock Bay, it's more of an opalescent green. In this one, it's more of an electric color. I'm looking for a partner at Crayola to make a kelp crayon. So we harvest usually in May. We're always looking to check for water temperature and growth, and we don't want a lot of biofouling. So once the water starts to get warm, we start to see a lot more like snails, and we start to lose the tips. So we want to pull out just before that. An important part of our farm is the amazing environment that it creates for all of the creatures that live there. We have fish, we have dogfish, we have pipefish that follow us around when we're in our farm. We had tons of mussels on our grow lines that last year. I haven't seen any yet. This year, amazingly, so much and so many scallops, and we're thrilled about the scallops. As well as just the other day, Sister Carrie was telling us that there were eagles, and I've not seen eagles there for quite a while. And so it's not just in the water, it's out of the water, and every species, including us, is benefiting. So as I mentioned, we go to a soil amendment and not yet food for everyone, but I do eat it, especially when I'm in the water. And we dry and grind and process it into the soil amendment. Nothing else is added. And we go straight into that, and we offer it to people at farmers markets or talks like this, or I've been at other activities and talked about being a kelp farmer, and someone was like, "Oh, do you have some in your car?" And I was like, "Yes, I do. I do." So, so we really enjoy meeting people And we don't have a website where you can go and buy our kelp because we want the connection. And we also aim to have our kelp with different municipalities, and the Sisters of St. Joseph at Brentwood have some of our kelp. ECI in Hampton Bays has some of our kelp. And so if anyone else knows of anyone who would be interested, just let us know, send us an email. Did you want to add anything about this section?
I think that people think that there's an automatic, a lot of times people say, well, how are you going to make money? How are you going to, what's your end product? How are you going to, and they're kind of like worried about marketing all the time. And we've just gradually done this. I mean, it's been like 4 years. And so to focus on the marketing, it's not where we're headed. Eventually we'll get there. But there's just so much more to this than just, going in there, harvesting, putting it in a thingy and, mass produce it. It's just not like that. So you have to give us time to figure out everything, and we are going to meet people who can maybe help us get into a different marketing level, because the products that we have in here, when we start really putting them out there, they're going to be awesome. And not just the fertilizer. No. What soil amendment, the fertilizer's F word. So the soil amendment, so there's tons of products that we have, developing in our what's the names.
Becky is head of research and development.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you are. So some of the things that we do, an important part of our plan is education, included in talks like this and meeting you good folks. We go to schools, we go really anywhere that we're invited and we're in alignment. We look into, what other things people are, if we're invited, we'll look into your background to see if that's somewhere that we actually want to be. We're working on, hey, there are those girls. That's the robotics team that built us at the Mary Louise Academy. We're working on a book, a digital book, and I did a mentoring day recently at iTry last year. So we're very interested in promoting everyone in science, but especially women and girls in science.
And also with that, when we had first started, all of this, the scientific aspect of it, I mean, it's really a lot. So it's like, oh my goodness, how am I going to ever wrap my mind around? So I said, we have to write a children's book, because everybody needs to understand it, especially me. I mean, the photosynthesis and the gametophytes. I was like, oh my goodness, we have to write. So we did. We are writing a children's book from K through 3rd or 5th grade, something like that. So that should be out hopefully very soon, so that everyone, when we teach our children that, and they can see this book and just relate to it, how the sun does this and the seaweed grows from everything. It's going to be there for everybody to wrap their minds around it.
Yeah, we're developing curriculum, and we'll hopefully roll that out into especially local school districts and beyond. And this is a piece of a mural made by a local artist, Denise Silva-Dennis, who happens to be here today. And this will be a part of something that children will add to. They will add fish. They will add to the habitat. This is the bake. And the song that you heard earlier, Taking Time, is a part of the curriculum. And I know that you mentioned that you had written that story, that song 30 years ago, but it's still true. Becky is still singing this same song 30 years later. 40 years later.
10 years is important.
Yes, It is. And this is just us at a few of our stops. Our kelp programming goes from high school all the way down. This is actually at Ross School and the Hayground School. So it goes from 12th grade all the way down to nursery school kids we're working with. That's that. Thank you. I've got one more thing to talk about, and that is something new that we just started this year. We just had our inaugural kelp farmer training. I don't know if any of you follow us on any social media. Some of you do look familiar, so I think you do. But we offered to the public kelp farmer training. It was 4 consecutive Mondays that people, women, families, men, whoever was interested could come, spend the day, and learn how to farm kelp. I'm going to show you a little.
in the rope now pretty well. Okay, so I'll go around this way.
All that with oversized gloves on.
That's over at Conscience Point Shellfish Hatchery. Had a tour of it that one day.
Yay.
Yeah.
So, as Becky said, our third or fourth day, I think it was the fourth day, was optional. And the optional day, we did a field trip. And we love a field trip. We also like to feed people, by the way. We did a field trip to Conscience Point Seashell Factory. So we were very proud and excited that we were able to partner that day, and it was really fun and exciting to see another operation, and hope that everyone can come out and see ours in the fall from that team. I think that covered everything that we wanted to share, and I know that you probably have, hopefully, some questions.
Yep.
Ready to open it up for some
Q&A
Q&A?
First, thank you.
Oh, gosh, you're welcome. Thank you. You want to put on the lights? Want to put on the lights back up? Thanks. Yep. Thank you. Yes?
How do we get in?
Oh, sorry. I was pointing to the. That's okay. You can go next.
How do we get in touch with you? You said you don't have a website.
We do have a website.
have a
We do have a website, and you can contact us through the website, or you could send us an email to Shinnecock Kelp Farmers at Gmail. Our website does not include fertilizer, soil amendment, sales area. That's what I meant.
Oh, but if we, I'm a member of a cooperative farm, just a few of us. If we want to contact you for some, what's the?
Soil amendment.
Soil amendment, then what do we do?
Yeah, that would be great. We would love that. Please do
But we
reach out.
email you.
Yeah, just email.
Right. Yeah.
Or we'll take your name and number now at the end of today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you, talked about slip gut. Is that the right name? The slip gut on the road?
Yeah.
Is that a seaweed, or is that something that's from pollution?
It's an algae,
It's an algae?
so it's natural. I think of it as a, inherently it's not a bad plant. It's just a naturally occurring, another algae that occurs. It just isn't often in contrast to our work at certain points in the season. It's like a clingy boyfriend that won't let go. Yeah.
I just want to get back to the technical, because you didn't, what you're missing is a picture of your lab where you actually think, you take these spools and you put them in jars?
We put them
or
into
in tanks?
20-gallon aquarium.
Okay, so they're all next to each other
Yep.
in an aquarium?
Yeah, there's
and
8.
that water is filtered in and out of there? Okay, that's what I wanted to understand.
Okay.
So when you had a picture, you were taking it through the aquarium, or you'd taken it out? It was through they were in an aquarium,
Yes.
that picture there?
We'll put one of those pictures back in
Yeah.
because there's like tons of pictures, and I know in one of these presentations, but
Yeah.
it's
The pumps, you know?
Yeah, all of that.
stuff. I mean,
Got
when
it.
I visited, the other maritime, all those bubbling things are just so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
It's actually,
You're right.
we do have an interesting story about the water. So we started out with 2 tanks, 2 20-gallon tanks, and maybe 8 spools. And we require refined water. And we borrowed it from Stony Brook. They had all the equipment.
Yes.
So we would go with these 5-gallon jugs in our cars, pick up purified seawater. And, it's a group of 5 women. At the time, it was 6 women. And someone hurt their back. We had to lift it up into the aquarium. And we knew that was not sustainable for us. So again, with more relationships, we were talking to some friends at the Nature Conservancy, and we were able to get a nice grant through them to create our own water purifying system for the following season. So now we purify our own water.
But also, today when we came, it said saving the bays. So let's say, because I used to teach school, but when you have children's books, even for adults, how does, I mean, naturally the photosynthesis, and then you get oxygen, whatever, but to actually show that is very important, because this is what we want to do, is save the bays. We want to get all the pollutants out and whatever. So the importance of kelp, as far as that is concerned, to me is the primary focus of cleaning the bays.
Ours
Is
as
that
well.
correct?
Yeah, ours as well.
Okay, so
Our
to me,
sugar
that's
kelp.
so important to have that as the primary thing to show, let's say, children, but also, you know, as we're here today, I mean, how do we save our bays? You
Let's
know?
get into it.
I come from whalers, so, you know, we're water people.
Yeah.
And how do we get these scallops back? So naturally it's the purification of the water. And how does kelp actually do that? It does it through the photosynthesis, is that right? And then releases the oxygen. So it allows pure water, is that?
That's
what
part of
you're
it.
doing? And then the other part?
The other part is that our sugar kelp loves nitrogen.
Okay.
Loves
So
it.
the nitrogen, taking that out and putting it into the kelp, and that's another way to get.
That's the
purification.
primary way.
Okay, good. Okay, see, to me, that's so important to know.
And even if it's not you, I think you should mention the cleaning up of the clams when you're talking about that, because that's really, isn't that what started the initial part of cleaning up the bay, is putting those huge piles of clams down to start filtering the water?
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Okay, well then, when you are at Stony Brook,
Mm-hmm.
when they started, when the woman who runnings it first came here, she saw the water was chocolate colored, and it was cleaner around the Indian reservation.
Yes, it was.
Because there still were seahorses there, but not the rest. And they put these big flats with the big fat clams in it in mesh bags, and then the clams started filtering the water, and they put 3 of them around in Shinnecock Bay, and they measured, and it started cleaning up. And
I can't talk for everybody's projects.
No, but
I don't
just
know who
think
that is,
well, I
but
think
it's great.
You need to get
For
in
the
touch,
kelp.
because you should say that the kelp does one thing and the clams do, I think it all pulls together.
Actually, now that you say that, they do work extremely well together. So Stony Brook did an amazing study. If you go to Chris de Gobler's site, you can find his studies where when you put together shellfish and kelp
Yeah.
together, it's exponentially better for both species.
That's what I was
That's
trying to explain.
interesting.
That's why I'm saying that not speak things, but just to put those things together, because I was fascinated by that, and I'm fascinated by yours, but I think two of them, the more the merrier.
Yeah, so that's in the future for us. Hopefully this coming season, we will include shellfish in our line.
And that's why we went to the shellfish hatchery, because we do want to partner with, you know, everybody who's doing the same thing as we are. They have oysters and clams, and of course, that's what mussels. We want to do it all. We got to get there. And like you were mentioning about whalers, our people were whalers.
Yeah, so it was my
Forever.
great-great-grandfather was the last
Yeah,
one.
forever.
So-
Yes, the whale to us is like the buffalo to the Plains Indians. So that was, and it was taken away from us. The colonials took our whales, and they took almost to the brink of extinction. So we have a lot of making up to do. The effects of colonialism is what we're living and breathing today. And we have to apologize to the earth for what we did to her. So we're in this together.
It's exciting going forward.
Hi, this is super cool. Mariam and I are very into this, and we're like really, we don't know much about kelp before, but I'm kind of curious about, you know, the 6 of you in terms of personalities, in terms of how you work together in this, because it's definitely a big undertaking, a lot of learning lessons throughout the way. So can you kind of speak to just your process as a team, and now that you're training other people, how do you come together and putting the logistics aside, talking about connection, talking about working to each other's strengths. Can you just talk a bit about the synergy between you?
Could I say a little bit about that, Dan? First of all, so there were 6 of us. Now there's 5. One kelp gal resigned, and we hope she comes back soon. But we are related. We have the same great-great-grandmother. And we have generations. We're multi-generational. So it's one of our great-great-great-grandmothers and the other one great-great-great-great-grand. But we're all from the same Shinnecock woman, the 2, whose names were Charity Bunn, Charity Kellis. And so we're related to each other through the same great-great-great-grandmother. So we have that connection. We all grew up together. Our families were always close with each other. And this was kind of like the universe putting us back together. Dan went here and there, and I've been here and there. All of us been everywhere. But we're all connected to Shinnecock. We all have a home on the reservation. And, again, the importance of it is what brought us all together. So, and it was human nature. Everybody's got, we don't even really have ups and downs. If we disagree on something, we talk it out. And we figure it out. And it's always in our hearts and minds that, our mission is way more important than anybody's personality. And we just happen to be that mature, I guess, to get over any little tiny things that we might. So it's not a huge effort to get along with each other, but we have to be mindful sometimes, and we're always mindful of each other's feelings and how we speak to each other, how we respect each other. I can't go out in the water anymore. I used to swim like a fish and go everywhere and do everything. And these girls, I highly respect them for going out in those frigid waters and doing the job that they do. They're my idols. And it's a wonderful thing. Darlene, I love when all of us are together to present, because, you get to hear all of our different opinions and our different, concepts and ways we look at different things. And Darlene has her gifts. Donna's got her gifts. And Tila, she's awesome. Actually, I'm going to read you. Can I just take a minute to read this? Because Tila can't be here, but she had a statement that she wanted me to read to everyone. This is from Tila Troge, attorney and kelp farmer. We call on you to support the Shinnecock Kelp Farmers in our sustainable work. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram to join this movement and help us raise awareness about the importance of preserving our coastlines. Your engagement on social media symbolizes a steadfast commitment to protect our ancestral waters and honor the enduring legacy of our people. Every like, share, and comment amplifies our call to safeguard the balance that has sustained us for generations. I also encourage you to participate in upcoming town board meetings on wastewater treatment plants, where your voice can help ensure that decisions promote fairness and do not unfairly impact disadvantaged communities. We believe that locating wastewater on golf courses has proven to be the most beneficial solution. Additionally, consider donating to the Shinnecock Kelp Farmers through our website to fuel the projects that protect our traditional ways of life. Upgrading your septic system to the most advanced nitrogen limiting option with the aid of local, county, and state funding further helps prevent harmful runoff and safeguards our waterways. By acting now, together we can ensure a future where both Mother Earth and our communities thrive. That's from Tila.
Yeah. Let's get into that collective, though. We're built as a collective, and the team was built knowing where everybody's strengths were. So my background is in psychology. I'm a social worker. I bring that every day, and it's not obvious how I do, but I do. It's in our meetings. It's in our relationship building. We have Darlene, who is been in human resources for decades. Tila, of course, the attorney. So we're all bringing, like I had mentioned earlier about Donna, she had a baking business, but now she's plumbing. So she has turned those skills, those hands-on skills, her work ethic, her grit, has enabled her to go into plumbing with thousands of gallons in a room, controlling water in a room. So that's a team building specifically, and we do grow. We fold people in, and what we saw earlier about the kelp farmer training, that was an amazing connection for us with those women. They happen to all be women, and there's nothing like working shoulder to shoulder in cold water to really bond you and to have you connect and be interested, not just in the kelp farming, but we really got very deeply involved and interested in each other's lives because you bring that with you to the farm.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I wondered about traditional uses of kelp. What your culture has used it for, other than a soil amendment.
So
Do you wanna
pretty
take that
much
one?
everything. You have to think as if everything that we put our hands on, we use in some kind of way. So no matter what it was. So let's say, for instance, the seaweed to eat, to smoke our fish and our seafoods in, like, what do you call it? A
Clam bake?
Clam bake. Yeah, a modern day clam bake, but that's what we used. And then in our hogans, our wiki-ups, our wetus, whatever you call them, whatever different names we have for our houses, we would insulate our homes with to keep the wind and the snow and everything out. So seaweed is just like everything else in our traditional ways. We used everything from the earth that, she provides for us. We found a use for it. So, and that was mainly, some of the main things that we used for it. And when we were growing up, we would slip on the rocks and our feet would be bloody and everything. But back in the day, we used it for everything that we could possibly use it for. And it was, like Dan said, our friend, our relative, we use it for everything that we could.
Yeah. The historian John Strong just finished, just before his passing, a great deep dive into Shinnecock connection. Go ahead and sneeze. You don't have to hold it back. A deep connection with seaweed and the Shinnecock people. And unfortunately, he will not be here to present it with our director. They were supposed to do it this coming April, unfortunately, but it should be published. It's out now.
That's good.
Anybody else?
Oh.
Yes, I just wanted to say, because you brought it up in your presentation, Mr. Anthony Beeman, and using seaweed for rheumatism. Well, my mom remembered going to Mr. Beeman's house. He was medicine man. And she called it her 1940s kitchen. Because you go in there and there's enamel kitchen table, and he was my grandmother's uncle. And she said, hanging up in the rafters, hanging down into the kitchen, you would see all the herbs and all the different things that were his supply. And they were right in the kitchen, and she'd go in and she'd look up and she'd see all the things that Mr. Beeman had for medicinal purposes. So I had an eyewitness to that.
Yes.
And it's so wonderful to know that that is written down and that we
Right.
can still be talking about it.
Fantastic.
Maddie?
Thank you.
I just wanted, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I'll speak for everybody. But I wanted to share that I was able to go there one morning with Danielle, and it was an amazing thing to witness. But one thing she didn't say, and I hope they're still doing, she talked about the kind words, but they play music. She walked in the door and turned the music on. And she had it so, the volume was in such a way that as she was talking to me, I couldn't hear. I wanted to hear what she was saying. I said, could you turn it down? And she turned it down real low, and I could appreciate it because I wanted to hear what she was saying. But I knew that in my absence, the bad boy would be blasted, and they would be partying up in the aquariums. So I just wanted to say that. It was very calming, and one thing you didn't also say, forgive me for acting like I know anything, I've only done it once, but she said that, what she shared was that each one of them would pick a day. They'd have different days, because they didn't need, all 6 of them didn't need to be there every day, but somebody had to be there every day, right? During the growing season, somebody had to come in every day. So when you mentioned how they work together like that. When I'm sure there was a day that one couldn't make their day. I can't make my day, can you get over there and do it? You know, I'm sure they worked as that team. It was really an awesome experience. I was not happy that I couldn't join that first inaugural training, because I do look forward to having an opportunity to do something like that.
Yep, teamwork makes the dream work.
It does.
Donna called me up one day. She said, I have no truck to go get the water. I was like, oh, my truck is half breaking down. I said, I'll be right there. And we go to the bay. We go over by the college, and she fills this big, huge thing up with water. And I'm sitting there. I'm like hoping my truck didn't break down. And she fills it up, and we go. And I drove all the way from the college to the villa with my emergency brake on. And I was so glad to get that trip over. She said, don't worry, you'll never have to do it again. I said, thank you.
Yeah. That's the beauty of a collective, right? We all cannot stand alone. And another reason why we're here is that we cannot do this work alone. We want as many kelp farmers as possible with as much kelp out in the water as possible. And we're doing our part to make that happen. And we're just glad that we're able to join us. Yeah.
Oh, Joanne. Program set up?
No, we will. So we get a lot of requests for different things. Everybody wants their experience tailored to them. So they would like to have it on a Saturday or have it just one day. We have a lot of requests for kids programming, teenagers programming. So we're going to sort through all of those requests and take into consideration like our time available and pick which group will be next. But I don't know if you're on any social media or online at all, but do follow us. That's really the best place to get up-to-date information about what's next. And if I know that you might not get it delivered in your algorithm, just stop by every now and then to watch us grow.
Step by
Online.
I see that you have jars up front.
We do.
So now this is for sale?
It is. We accept donations for it.
And if one wants it, again, you don't do it online, you have to go to like farmers markets?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I see some of your products over on that table. Can you tell us just a little bit about them?
So basically that's the soil amendment. It's nothing but seaweed. You can use it in your garden or on your plants. We often make a tea out of it. Maybe take a quarter of a cup and steep it in hot water and let it cool down. And then the following day add that mixture, the water and the mixture, to your indoor plants. You can use it also when you're turning over in the spring, getting ready to plant in your garden, or in the fall when you're kind of putting everything to bed. I have some shirts. Sure. People like our shirts. Yeah.
I just want to say that I was very impressed by this, and seeing you in the water, you go in there from like September through the winter. I think it was snowing on you. Were you doing it?
Yes. So not September. So the worst of it is November through February. This is the worst time physically. Emotionally, it's fantastic because it is the most meditative work that I've ever done. And you have to be in sync with the water. You can't fight the water to be able to do those small knots and to be able to take care of the kelp in a careful, generous way. And it takes your full attention. So though it's cold and uncomfortable, I did bring some waders, thermal waders, and 2 pairs of heavy gloves that I wear. But you saw one of my partners, and she just wears polyurethane, just some simple scuba gloves so that she's wet. But because the work is so tedious at times, you kind of just take the cold. And we don't stay any longer than an hour and a half, 2 hours, especially at this time of the year, with it being so bitter and windy. We keep it very tight and get the work done. One thing that does happen is that it's good to have a plan going out, because it's hard to think towards the end of the 2 hours. It's hard to come up with new things and solve problems because the body just it doesn't allow it.
Somebody's watching out for you from the shore?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And can you start a senior program?
Sure. We have lots of seniors. Yeah.
You have one crop when that was doing, or do you more than one crop a season?
Yeah, one crop.
And is it daily maintenance this time of year at its coldest? Or is somebody out there every day?
No,
Okay.
no. We will go out for sure if there's a storm to check the lines, to make sure that nothing's been loosened, that nothing has come, through and like knocked down our lines like that. I would say every 5 days we're in the water for sure, approximately. But then it depends. How's the tide? How's the light? Yay.
I want to say thank you to you both, to all 5 of you. It's been inspiring to see what you're doing.
Thank
you. I remember your visit over to the Conscious Point Shellfish Hatchery. Delighted that you came, and I can't let this meeting end without thanking Becky for delivering her grandson, who's been working at the hatchery for the last 3 years. He's key to the hatchery's success.
Thank you.
He's just a good man. Parallels in the personalities and the meshing of personalities and the common joy that you find and we at the hatchery found is exactly that parallel. On behalf of the Maritime Center, we're grateful to have you here. We're grateful to Father Richard for having allowed us to be here. But more importantly, it's exactly this kind of talk, this kind of education, that is why we are so committed to make sure the Maritime Center thrives. And you just give us one more good reason to work hard, so thank you. Mark, you want to add something?
No, I think that's it. Again, thank you so much, ladies. Inspirational for sure, like Mark said. I know Becky mentioned it earlier about, there's so much cynicism out there. We can't fix this. It's too late for that. We all saw during the pandemic, everyone stopped using their cars, and what happened? Places like India and stuff, all of a sudden the fog lifted. So, these things don't happen on a big scale, they happen on a small scale, and it's when you have one meets another and another meets another and your communities start to mesh. This is why I'm so excited, especially having our neighbors and our friends from the Shinnecock Nation be part of what we're trying to do, and really be the flagship of not just to save the bays, but to save humanity in terms of what's our common cause. No matter where we all came from, whether we were here for 10,000 years or we were here for 20 years, what's our common goal? And that's the most important thing that I think we all need to leave here with. And with that, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for coming.
Yeah.
I know I've seen your faces at some of these other events, and the concern of our citizens for this beautiful, incredible area that has been under assault for a long time. But we're determined to keep doing what we can to make it right. Right,
Yeah.
ladies?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so
We
much.
are. Thank you all.